starting in like 30 minutes, I believe, for the next session. But all three groups have officially reached a checkpoint on the island. They have all, in one way or another, encountered and had Clois die. Now, Clois is what's known as a servant mind in the storyline of this island. You can basically think of her as an arcane computer, if you're not quite following the series yet. Her presence has led each of the groups its own little merry chase across the island, and I hope to kind of cover what that means for them as they have had to deal with her loss. I am moving the maps around so we can kind of see what it looks like for each of them, hoping that at least sets something up for you all. And then, where are we at here? You all need to go to this one, I think, yes? There we go. Though Clois did not die there. Okay, so. There we go. Alright, I'm going to go into in-game really quick, just so you can kind of get a look. I'm hoping this recap will be posted on YouTube tomorrow, as just a quick, short explanation. So if we start at each of the groups, and we'll kind of explain how every group has had Clois die. Now this is Group 2's island, so we're going to go to Group 1's island to kind of get an overview of what happened to them. So this is their map of where Clois was found, right? Entering the quarantine halls is pretty straightforward. You'll find a ledger here on the desk, a minor office space over here that's been ransacked and destroyed in part of it. But this is behind a portcullis that can only be opened if the party finds its way through the secret passages into the pantry. Now, when this quarantine hall was functioning, the pantry was rather a well-known place, but they wanted the kitchen to look nice in case a guest had their own meals they wanted to prepare, so the secret doors were added. Over here, in this room at B, is where Clois's pedestal could be found. There was a 50-50 chance the party would feed Clois poison rather than nutrients to let her come back. And every party successfully made a guess at which nutrients were. They were able to all resuscitate her, and Group 1 had first shot. They took Clois on a jury to Vakrind. Now, they played with only 3 players on their first night, and 2 of the players had the language. The third chose to sit outside, while the other 2 went in to negotiate what was to happen. Now, all the serviles, the people on the island, are rather scared of servant minds. And so when they saw Clois, they kind of kept their distance. And the third player stayed outside to kind of keep her company and keep her safe. Teaching her a show tune while she waited, she looked up to the sky and just really was thankful that she got to see something other than this dark, grungy room that she had been in for centuries. And so she asked, why didn't you go in? And he made it clear that it was because he couldn't speak the language. So Clois sacrificed herself and died, giving him the language. Then we go on to Group 2. Group 2 has kept Clois alive the longest. They kept her alive, treating her as a computer the whole time, and as a kind of friend. I had apparently misunderstood one of the players who kept saying thank you to her. I don't know why I missed it, but I did. Thank you is one of the key words that if she had been told thank you, much like Dobby out of Harry Potter, she would have gone crazy and attempted to gift immediately anything they wanted or needed, including the language if she knew they were struggling. So that was my bad. I had missed it. It ruins a bit of the plot point here. But they kept her around and kept being nice to her and kept offering, we'll take you out of here at some point. We'll get there, and then two of the other players refused to let that happen. And so Clois remained inside for a long time. The party eventually escaped and went to Vakrind and tried to communicate. They had a tough time, but they worked out some kind of deal. Got a backpack for one of the players and then snuck off to Strava to try to speak with the people there. Again, failing to communicate. They eventually made it way back home to where she lay in wait, I guess. Whatever you want to call it. And she sat there waiting the next day. Well, what are you doing, masters? Where are we going? What are you doing? And they decided to take her around as a papoose on the front of the paladin in a backpack. Carrying her with, he spoke to many serviles, learned a couple catchphrases, and when they finally spoke to Keeper Arana, they learned that the serviles of the island are not the worst that the Shapers have left behind. Already, Clois is upset that the serviles are free, because no creation should be free according to a servant mind. All of them should be controlled, because that's what keeps the Shapers safe, is control. So it's quite clear that Clois will not be one to let any of these creations go free, but she finds that there is a creation somewhere on the island that is very dangerous to anyone, and that is a drake. Now, one of the other groups has heard of these creatures, but did not get the warning that this group has received. And in that moment, deciding the only safe thing to do is to give the knowledge and the language to one of the players so that they may better help everyone in the group, she sacrificed herself to give the paladin the language. Unfortunately, no one told her that the paladin might not survive, as he only has a couple days left to live. If he reaches level 3 shortly, he will survive and get all of the losses that he's had so far back. And if he doesn't survive, well, then the party's out the language and knowledge that Clois gave. But, something could happen in the meantime. Over here, we have Group 3. Now, playing Sunday mornings for 5 hours at a time, Group 3 has gotten rather far, but unfortunately Group 3 killed Clois the fastest. Group 3 went as a group into her room, proceeded to all get scanned. However, one of them did not want to get scanned, and had sarcastically said thank you to something she'd already done. Now, she was ready and willing to give him something just for that alone. But then, as the last one scanned and sarcastically listening in, he decided to say, "Oh, I don't know, Clois, we all love you." And that was too much for her. And that wonderful moment, so happy to be loved and appreciated, she blessed upon him, or cursed in his opinion, the language and knowledge of the Shapers she had available. And that is how Clois died for every party.